Hey everybody, it's June, and so you know what that means. It's a new Cyberbox soldering kit of the month video. So let's see what we got this month. This month we try to do something special because 4th of July is coming up. So we wanted to try to do something like that. We have a little card here, and on the back it shows you a little bit about how LEDs work. It's got a description. Then we have this. It has our information if you want to contact us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. There's our website. We have our instruction sheet. And it goes over a little bit of what 4th of July is about. It has the instructions right here. It talks about what the battery, the resistor, the LED is. There's a schematic, a parts list, and some notes about the LED. Remember, LEDs, you can put them on backwards, but they won't work. So you got to be careful, and we'll go over that a lot more in depth in just a little bit. So let's see what else is in the box. We have our kit. It's got some notes on the back. And then we have this little piece of acrylic. Now this is a stand. It's a little display stand for you to put it in. But first, we need to go over some soldering safety rules. These are important, so pay attention. Always keep your work area clean and organized. Soldering can be dangerous. Keeping your work area clean will help prevent accidents from happening and keep you safe. Only solder in well-ventilated areas. Turn on a fan if you have one. Maybe open a window, right? You want the fumes to leave your area so they don't go up your nose. Now, if a little bit does, it's okay. But if you're soldering a lot, you need to have a fan, fume extractor, things like that. But really, if you just turn on a ceiling fan or you have a little oscillating fan near you, you'll be okay. So use care while soldering. You should know that soldering irons are hot. That means you might get burned. It's okay, everyone gets burned at least once when you're soldering. You solder enough, you're going to get burned. We can use things like tweezers and clamps to help. I don't think we're going to need that for this project. But just be aware the soldering irons are hot and it hurts when you get burned. Never leave your soldering equipment on when you're not there to watch it. So if you walk away, go ahead and turn your soldering iron off. Yeah, it takes time to heat back up when you come back, but guess what? You're not catching anything on fire when you walk away, right? So the smart thing is just go ahead and turn the thing off, and it'll be there when you get back. If you're using a sponge to clean your soldering iron, like this one right here that's not wet, because I'm actually going to be using this, but if you're going to use a sponge to clean your soldering iron, it needs to be wet. It needs to be really wet, okay? Don't use a dry sponge to clean your soldering iron. Always wear eye protection. Glasses, safety glasses, goggles. Solder gets up to 400 degrees Celsius. Now, if 400 degrees Celsius solder gets in your eye, you're going to have a really bad day. You're going to end up in the hospital, and there's just going to be trouble. So always wear some sort of eye protection. No matter what you do, wash your hands. So solder, this right here, has a flux type of material on the inside. That's what makes it work. And that flux material can be considered toxic. So before you eat, before you touch your face, before you drink something, right? Go ahead and wash your hands. Do not use soldering equipment that has obvious damage. If you have a soldering iron and it's damaged, maybe it's melted, the cord's broken on it, something like that, don't use it. Get it repaired or buy a new one. And always try to manage your waste in one place. So that could be a magnet tray. That could be a little bin that you just throw your waste in. But that way it doesn't get on the floor. You don't want to clip the leads on these LEDs and then end up on the floor, right? Now that we covered our soldering safety, let's dump out the parts. Let's see what all we got. Well, on the bag, it says, it's got a picture. If you install LEDs backwards, they will not work. The longer lead goes through the circle hole, and the shorter lead goes through the square hole. And there's a picture. Let's see. On the board, you see there's a circle hole and a square hole. So, as the note says, the longer lead goes through the circle hole, and the shorter lead goes through the square hole. That square hole is your ground, and the circle hole is your positive. So that's important. And that's going to be the first part we build. So let's zoom back out, not too much, and move these out of the way. And start putting our LEDs on there. So you see there's two leads, one's longer than the other. We'll go ahead and put them in there. And you can go ahead, you can put all 13 in there at the same time if you'd like. Or you can just do a few. I'm just going to do a few at first, and I'm going to go back and do the rest after. Now, the long lead is always going to go on the outside of the circle. So the center of the circle should always be the shorter lead. So then I'm just going to take that, pull them out like that. And see, now I have a good mechanical connection so the LEDs aren't going to fall out. And I'm just going to set it down. I'm going to put my solder on there. So remember, when soldering, you want to try to heat the pad or the component and then have that melt the solder. So put a little bit of solder on your tip first. And then I'm going to use that to heat the components in the pad and then pull it up. See that? Let's try that again. See? Easy. Let's go ahead and do this one. But the idea is that you really want to try to get the pad hot, because then you get a good bond to the board and the component. So you want the component and the pad to get hot. If you're just melting solder, it doesn't matter if the board and the component aren't hot at the same time. And see here, I got a little bit too much solder, so I'm just going to heat it up. I'm just going to try to pull it up the lead, and that's going to clean it up some. See that? I'll do the same over here. And what it'll pull up the lead. It'll wick its way up. I'll do that one. And I'll do that one. There you go. So now we did our first 4. So let's go ahead and clip these to get these leads out of the way. I'm going to grab a pair of my handy dandy Cyber City Circuits toolkit clippers. Remember, when you're clipping these, you never want to clip it towards your face, because these things will shoot out and they will hit you in the face if they don't hit you in the eye. So you want to be careful. This is a good time to remind you that we sell safety glasses on our website, Right now they're only $5 plus shipping. So if you need safety glasses, please wear safety glasses. So now let's go ahead. I'm just going to put in a bunch more. You can put in as many as you want. You could do one at a time. You could do them all at the same time. And it's up to you, however confident you feel. If you're not that confident, I say do one or two at a time. And then I'm going to take my leads. I'm just going to pull them back. Uh-oh. This one fell out. That's why you pulled the leads back. You need a good mechanical connection to the board when you're soldering, and it's going to hold them in place. See, they're in there now. I'm going to set it down. I'm just going to do the rest of them real quick. Alright, check this out. So I have a bridge where I use too much solder and I need to pull it up. So I'm going to take my clippers, and that's a lot of solder. So I'm going to take my clippers. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to clip all the leads. And when I clip, I'm trying to get close to the board, but I'm not trying to cut onto the board. You want to be careful that you don't scratch the board. If you scratch the board, you might break the traces inside the board, and it's hard to recover from that. So then I'm going to take my iron, I'm going to clean it, and then I'm just going to take it when it's clean and just heat that pad up. And you see it kind of just pulls the solder off the pad. See that? And I got problem right here. See that? So I'm just going to heat it up, pull it off to the side, and there you go. So let's see what we got left. We only have 4 LEDs left. Look at this. So this one is a little crooked. It didn't sit in the board all the way. See that? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push it in on it with my thumb, and then I'm going to heat the pads at the same time carefully. Watch. I'm going to do one. I'm going to do the other, and I'm just going to slowly walk it back into the board. One leg at a time. Just takes a little bit of patience, and you can get it. So let's go ahead and put the rest of them on there. There's only 4 left. So if you're watching this, 2020, it's June right now. Do you have any plans for the 4th of July? Leave a comment down below. I know the pandemic's going on, so you probably shouldn't go out and have, large gatherings and stuff, but what are your plans? You going to do fireworks? Are you going to cook out in the backyard? You can leave a comment on here. You can leave a comment on our Twitter page, Make Augusta. That's all one word, Make Augusta. And if you're not following us on Facebook or Twitter, maybe give us a follow. We post stuff there all the time, a lot of interesting stuff. We have a lot of machinery that we play with, laser etchers and pick and place assemblers and reflow ovens. And you might, get some inspiration from that. You might learn something. And tell your friends. If you're enjoying this kit, let us know. Leave a review. If you have a problem, let us know. Send us a message. You can send us a message on our website in the in the About Us section. You can send us a message on Twitter. You can tag us on something. If you have any problems, we can't make it better if you don't tell us. I got an email from somebody earlier this week. They had a problem with one of our kits. And they sounded sorry to bother us about it. I said, no. If there's a problem and no one ever tells us, then we can't make it better. And we'll just continue making them the same way that we always have. Because I promise, if you're having a problem, you're not the only person. But you might be the only person to tell us. Does that make sense? So please, you're not bothering us. This is what we do. This is what we enjoy. If we're doing something wrong, let us know. All those look pretty straight. So let's go ahead and clip these. Now remember, you gotta be careful because these things will shoot across the room if you're not facing down when you clip them. So let's look at the pads. They look good. Is that one done? Yeah. They all look pretty good. So now we're going to connect that piece with the rest of it. It's going to make it a Betsy Ross American flag. So how are we going to do that? We're going to do that with these 100 ohm resistors. Now remember your color code, brown, black, brown is 1 and 0. And brown is 1, so that's 1, 0 after that. So it's 1, 0, and then an additional 1, 0. So that's 1, 0, 0. Does that make sense? So this is 100 ohms. And these serve two purposes in this kit. One, they, connect the two different PCBs together. And two, they limit the current going to the diode or the LEDs. So how we're going to do this is on the back of the board, we're going to push them in like this. There's spots for it. And you see they're marked R2, R1, and R3. And then I'm going to fold them down just like that. And then on my other board, I'm going to put it down right next to it. And you can put these on the front of the board too if you like. I think, personal preference, me, that they look better if they're on the back of the board. And then I'm just going to pull them through. I'm going to fold the legs down. And then I'm going to do this one right here. And this could be a little tricky, but you definitely want to do all three of these at the same time so that they all go in there. Look at that. And then we bend the leads down so we have a good mechanical connection. And see, that's not going anywhere. I say that and then it goes somewhere. But you get the idea. So I'm going to lay that down. And I'm going to solder those legs in. My iron's got to heat back up real quick. Solder that one. Solder that one. Solder that one. Now, before I do this corner one right here, I'm going to check them, make sure the resistors are in all the way. And see, that one looks good. And that one looks good. But if I needed to adjust these at all, maybe pull them a little tighter, I would do that now. So now, I'm going to do this corner. There it goes. Then, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clip these leads. How's that? So I didn't get a good solder point on that resistor right there. Well, that's not good. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to hold it back into place. And what happened was I didn't get the pad hot. So I got solder on the component lead, but the pad never got hot. So it didn't get solder into the pad connecting the component to it. There we go. And maybe I'll add a little bit to the backside on that one part. Now it's in there, and that's in there good. Look, that's not even moving. So we're in there good. Next, let's do the button. So what I'm going to do with the button is I'm just going to bend the legs out like that. Just straighten them out. And then I'm going to take my solder iron and I'm going to heat the pad. I'm just going to add some solder to this pad. Not a lot, just enough to get it wet with solder. And I'll do the same with this pad, both sides. And then I'm going to take my button and I'm going to put it down in the center of the pad. And I'm going to heat one of the legs. And it's going to get that solder nice and liquidy. Oh, I moved it before it cooled off. And there you go. So now I can just go through and I can heat up each pad. Let's see here. I need to add a little bit more solder to this one. It's okay. And then there you go. And then do this one right here. Perfect. Look at that. And that's on there good too. So now we got one more part left, and that's your battery holder. Now you see the picture on the board matches the shape of the battery holder, so that's how it needs to go on there. Now it will fit on there backwards, but it doesn't match the picture. So you want to make sure that it matches the picture when you put it on there. Look at that. So that's on there, and we just fold this over, and I'm just going to heat up that right there. So there you go. And then, how about that? That looks all right. I think I might need a little bit more solder in this one. Come on. There we go. Now, these pins on the battery holder, they are sharp, so we're going to clip those. Even though they're short, they are sharp. I'm going to take my battery, pull it out of the packaging. I'm going to put it in the holder. Just like that. Now, when you're putting this in the holder, might need to bend that in a little bit. You should be able to read the text. Okay? The text should be facing out. If you put these in upside down, they're kind of hard to get out. But now, I press the button on the back, and it lights up. How cool is that? Your own little American flag that you built yourself. So if you enjoyed the kit, if you had fun, leave a review. Tell us on Twitter if you had any problems. Let us know. We'll be happy to try to help. We also need to know where the problems are so we can try to fix them on future kits. And as always, you can find these at cybercitycircuits.com.